Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm over here multitasking, getting ready for such a divine conversation today with an esteemed guest. And the conversation is one that is going to be next level. Some of you know and love her, and I don't want to say her name until I bring her up. But you can get ready to broadcast on your channel if you want. You have that option in there. I don't know if you know that, but once you come in here, you can broadcast on your channel the same conversation. So many people who know and love this woman have been with her. She has been a voice. She has been criticized, has had her YouTube channel taken down, I think about 10 or 11 times, maybe more. She is the quintessential matriarchal energy that is metaphysical, multifaceted, and highly intelligent. What I love most is, even though she is Dr. Kia Pruitt, she leads with her spirit, trusts her heart, and is willing to quote unquote go there. And most of all, the other thing, I've never told her this, but one of the things that I absolutely love and adore about Dr. Kia Pruitt is she is able to deliver strong truths, sometimes terrifying truths even, to people, and have the conversation with a smile, with the information. For so long in the spiritual community, so many people delivered these truths with a grimace and a frown. And in this case, this is not her. This is not how she delivers the truth. And so she just dropped off for some reason, but she's going to come back on. So today we're going to be talking women, whole womanhood, wealth, and being politically incorrect, the courage to be politically incorrect. So, I know that I'm going to do a disclaimer while I finish trying to load in first Dr. Kia and get our VIP community here in the space with the proper alerts and everything. You all get a little extra love from Mama Latanya, getting you all into the room. And so listen, let me do a disclaimer. You may hear Dr. Kia say some things that you don't necessarily agree with. That's the point of Shift Talk, is for us to explore beyond just agreement. And it is also a tool to be able to understand that you don't always have to agree in order to be set free. You don't always have to understand the first time, but what you do have to be willing to do is say, let me explore my own limitations. And some of the things that we've been taught about our womanhood, about being a wife, of being a mother, about all of the quote unquote things has been flipped on its head. So you may get triggered today. So she just told me that it's buffering on my end. Let me tell her to try to re-enter. We've been having some issues with today with our cable service, which I'm not surprised, because anytime you get ready to do something powerful, it is going to always be some type of block, energetic block, particularly when it's powerful women coming in to this energy that we're going to be talking about today, because I've been getting so many downloads that it's absolutely crazy. Okay. So, I'm sorry. I have like all these things that are happening. I'm trying to get the message out, and then she can't get back in for some reason. She says that it says it's buffering. And so she is trying to re-enter. Are you, any of you, having an issue on your end getting in? Anybody having an issue on your end? Or is my voice sounding like it's lagged or slow? Let me know in the comments. So Dr. Kia is trying to get in the room. Okay, there she is. This is, honey, this is energy. It's okay. Thank you, Kristan. I appreciate you.
Hi,
Welcome.
sister.
Yeah.
Thank you, sister. I had to go into my bedroom. Sis, I've been going through this for years.
Talk about it.
I don't even know. Like you said, it's energy, but you and me connecting, honey, we are so powerful that they can't stop it. We're going to keep moving forward.
Yes, well, welcome to Shift Talk. You know, this has been almost 2 years in the making.
Wow. Yes, ma'am.
I
2
think
years.
you were scheduled to come on last year, but we started talking about it even before then.
Mm-hmm.
And because you are so multifaceted,
Thank you.
we said, well, where do we start? Because, and so, you know, we're going to start with what this community is familiar with, which is,
Okay.
you know, our role in terms of whole womanhood. But I titled yours Whole Womanhood, Wives, Wealth, and politics. And I want to get to the politics later, but I definitely made it clear being politically incorrect, at least by the mass view, the willingness, courage to be politically incorrect. So I don't know if you heard me say, one of the things that I have loved about you since 2019, when I discovered you, it was a no-brainer for me, because I have always been taught as a metaphysician to always study the meaning of things. And when there's a main story in the news, in the front of the news, to always go back because there's another story happening. So so in 2020, when we were done filming, we had to stop filming and we had to take a pause. A lot of people went into panic. And I knew not to go into panic because I have been prepared and trained in many ways. But what I did was to say, let me study everything opposite of what I've been taught to believe about why this could be happening. And I found you.
Wow. Wow.
When I found your face, I knew that you had been placed by the Divine Mother in my pathway.
Praise God. Wow.
And you was talking about Nasera Jacera. But then I said, but the way she's doing it, I could hear all the things you were weaving in and all of and I was like, oh my God. And she gets this and it was checking so many boxes. So Dr. Kia, welcome.
Thank you.
Did you become Dr. Kia Pruitt with the voice?
Sis, I'm honored to be here. Let me say that first of all. I consider you to be such a great woman of God, a divine mother yourself.
Uh-oh, y'all, it's buffering. If you all can hear me, we're going to give it a minute for it to recalibrate. Even if you can hear me, Dr. Kia, even if you have to pop out and pop back in, honey, you know, this energy, even if we have to do this privately, not on the YouTube channel, we're going to do this today. That's my declaration and my decree. And those who are in the portal community, and you will be able to get access directly into the Zoom. If we have to come off of here and load it up later, that's exactly what we're going to do. And I didn't even think about the fact that the two of us getting together, what energies and algorithms, right, already are against this, right? And you all don't know, like, I haven't even brought Rod Hayes to us yet. And I've been talking to him for almost 4 years about when he was going to come on to this platform. I just wanted to make sure that you all can handle it. Okay, good. Y'all can hear me fine. So it's Dr. Kia's buffering. And she was starting to say it's her end. That, I mean, that this has been happening to her for years. So I'm just going to text her. Because, baby, if we have to go off of here and go on to Zoom, we're doing this. I haven't even been able to send out the alerts to the community because I've been doing this, right? This is crazy. So, how many of you know Dr. Kia and you are already follow her on her channel? How many of you already are here? Zawadi, is that you? Kristen, Michelle? Kristen, Chris. What is? Did I get the? I'm trying to say too many names at one time. Kristen, Christelle, Chanel. Sorry. Okay. So we're going to get her back in the saddle in just a minute because the downloads that I got, first of all, we just came through a 999 portal. Okay, no worries. No worries. You won't be new after today. Oh, this is your first time. Okay, cool. All right. Kristan Chanel, you know her, right? You followed her work before, right? Okay. The downloads that I started getting before coming to this show after the 9-9 portal have been truly a divine turnaround that I believe can help many of us who are wives or want to be wives. I also believe that this show can help and support those of us who still listen to the mainstream news and you don't have a contingency plan for your money, for your investments, for your wealth. And Dr. Kia has a lens and a breadth of understanding. Dr. Kia, I see that you're backstage, but I don't see you on the screen. It's just white. There is no face or no picture for me to add you. At least you're here though. And so what do you have a plan, and are you in community with people who are talking about a plan for your investments? And I want to talk to Dr. Kia more about the courage that she has had to receive the backlash from her family, her friends, and from other women that look like her because she knew about things like Nasera Jacera, investing in gold and silver, cryptocurrency, and all of those types of things. So she's trying. She just made an adjustment. Let me see if I add you to the stage, if that'll help.
Yes, thank God. Can you see me?
Nope, you are absolutely blank. Can you all
That's
see her?
crazy. I can see you. I can see myself on the screen.
Okay, can you all see her? Can you in the audience see Dr. Kia? I'm waiting on them because they've been saying that they can hear me just fine. I know you hear her, y'all, but help me out. I'm asking, can you see her? Okay, no, they cannot see you. Okay, so I'm gonna remove you again. Thank you. Let me go back, and then when you pop in on the screen here. Okay, good. Okay, they can't see you. They can hear you. This is wild. If I have to, I will go get her picture. Okay, I'm going to just add you and we're going to keep talking and hope that it pops in. And hopefully you are somewhere where you can get a better signal, Dr. Kia. Okay, here we go. She just came in another way.
Which one do I cut off?
We still don't see you, but But listen, y'all, this is not unusual for high frequency beings. Dr. Kia has had attacks and all types of things on her channel. But she is a woman of determination. Her channel's been taken down maybe 11 times, maybe more. She's had to go onto other platforms, and she is relentless in terms of not stopping. So we can't see you,
You can't see.
but maybe we can just proceed with hearing you, or you could turn your camera off and see if that'll help.
Okay, I'll try that.
We don't see anything. Okay, there we go. Okay, we'll try this for a minute, y'all. Beautiful Dr. Kia, you can't see. Okay, so we'll try this for a minute. Can you all see Dr. Okay, so now okay, can you all
Can
see
they
Dr.
see me? It's a
Yes,
picture of me, but
they
it's
can
not
see
me.
you. Mm-hmm.
They can
Can,
see me?
can you see Dr. Kia?
That's great. So I put up a picture of me. You can try
Yeah.
it on your computer. Now I'm going to try my son's computer.
Okay.
What is it? Okay. They can see me or they can see a picture of me.
Okay, yes, they can see the picture of you.
Okay.
So even the response time, the lag. So Dr. Kia, first of all, give us a little bit about your background, who you are and why you are.
Okay. Who am I? Let's see. Like you said, I'm like you, a high frequency light being, a spirit being that, of course, is embodied in the flesh. But I'm a mom. I've been a wife, and I studied economics and politics. So I just went all the way up studying psychology and education until I got a PhD. But I became interested in politics first in 2014 when I was living in Ghana, and I noticed that Chinese were there mining gold. That just that made me, for some reason, pause and try to figure out what's going on. That people that didn't look like the Africans were there in Ghana mining gold.
Mm.
And it just wasn't Chinese, it was Lebanese, Europeans, people from different European nations kind of taken over the gold mining industry. And I had a lot of friends that worked in the gold mines there. So
Wow.
2014, yes, I started talking on Facebook about gold, and I started saying something's happening. And well, at that point, I called it the motherland because I didn't realize that, even though my grandmother taught me that so-called Black.
It's going in and out. So you know what, y'all?
Hmm.
It's going in and out, and your words are too powerful and too important for us not to miss a word, because I didn't know what you just shared, and it's so important. I know just the picture. That's what we want to know, if you can see the picture. But I know that the response is coming in late. We want to hear her, but now the words are breaking up. So, yes, I know you all are watching. So we're going to try for a few more minutes, Dr. Kia, because you started breaking up when you were talking about Africa and the motherland, and even because your mother taught you that we were from the motherland. That's what I want to catch, because I don't want to miss a word. Continue what you were saying from there.
Can you hear me, sister? No, she can't hear me.
I can hear you now, but your words are broken.
Hmm. Gosh.
Yep, she just dropped off. So this is what I'm thinking about doing, y'all. I've gotten dressed for this show. We put out ads for this show. I know why and what we're working with. I hope you all understand that this is a real thing. When you are talking about spiritual truths, the people who go through great lengths to bring you spiritual truths like this, that are taboo, that bump up against what we've been taught, usually pay a great sacrifice. This is one of them. So what I'm thinking is that that we go on Zoom. How many of you are in the portal? Drop a P if you are a portal member, because it'll be easy for you to get the Zoom link if you're in the portal. Okay, I see you, Dr. Kia. She's trying to come in and it's still no picture. This is all a distraction. Yeah, keep on. Let me know. Drop a P if you're in the portal. It looks like most of the people viewing today are not in the portal, or the people who are dropping on and off. Okay. Dr. Kia, let's see if I add you to the stage. Yes, no picture.
No picture.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now I can see you. Wait a minute.
Can you see me here? Okay.
Yes, there you are.
Thank you. My son had to put me in his computer because mine is giving me problems. Maybe it's rigged. I've been through 6 computers in 1 year.
Wow. And how many YouTube channels?
9.
You talk about determination. So you left off saying that your mother told you when you thought we were all from the motherland. That's where your sentence got cut. So finish, pick up from there.
Can you all hear me? Because I don't hear you well. I'm going to see if I can.
We hear you loud and clear.
Oh, you can. Okay, I don't hear you well. Son, can you do this? Okay. All right. Can you say something so I can see if I can hear you?
Testing, please? 1, 2, 3.
That's better. Okay, sorry about that, family. Sorry, Reverend Doctor. So my mom always told me, your grandparents, your father's side is Cherokee and your mother's side is Blackfoot Indian. And she said, from my side, she would say, my mom, she said, my mom's grandmother was Blackfoot Indian and her grandfather was from Colombia. So she never heard of a story of us being from Africa ever, she said. But when I got college educated, I was told we all came from the motherland.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I believed. Can you believe that? Because some stranger told me that.
Well, we all did, especially us educated ones, honey.
So I went to Africa and stayed there for some time with my sons, and my daughter came to join us. And I saw a lot of people mining gold there. And I started expressing that was a concern for me because my son was going to marry a Ghanaian woman at the time. And we were friends with chiefs and some of the so-called lesser kings and priestesses. And they were struggling.
Mm.
And their family members that worked in the mines were extremely poor. I'm talking like they might have gotten paid 10 Ghana CDs a week, which at the time was $3 US.
Mm.
And I was like, what's going on with all this gold mining? And they told me, like, all these people are here mining gold. They made some type of commitment with the chiefs, and they were some type of agreements with the chiefs, and they were supposed to, give a kickback to make sure we were taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Because the chiefs are actually the stewards of the land, but the chiefs can only, make agreements and hope that these people would bless the Ghanaian people or, reinvest the money. But who really had the power on the continent, at least in Ghana, was the presidents.
Mm-hmm.
And they were not appointed by the people. They were actually appointed, of course, by the people in power. So they weren't making a lot of money, and they said they said we'd rather have the Europeans over here than the Chinese, because the Chinese threaten us with guns, pay us the least amount of money. They don't reinvest in the continent or in our country. They said at least the Europeans give us food and don't, have guns on the mines and put guns to our head to try to check us before we leave the mines. So I said, why are they here mining gold? And the spirit led me to a book called Africa is China's Second Continent. That's when I started saying to myself, I need to pay attention. I need to pay attention to gold. I need to pay attention to politics. I didn't even know why. Just something dropped in my spirit. Like, you need to wait.
You know, I'm not moving because I just want the energy. I just want the energy to. There you go. Can you hear me? Because it went out again. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I started reading the book, and then I started about gold. And then I started having memories about my Colombian great grandfather. When he was alive, he had bags of precious metals, silver and gold. And when he passed, he told and so I called my mom up and I said, Mom, for some reason, I'm starting to really feel connected to gold and silver. And I live.
Okay. I'm pausing because it's you're frozen. Just FYI, if you can hear me, you're okay. You got frozen. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I know. Let's all just take a breath. This is going to happen, even if we have to move and do it on Zoom.
I'm sorry, sis. My son is saying he's having problems too. He's like, this is not making sense. It usually doesn't do it like this.
I don't think also it's just energy. I got a notice from Comcast before we started, maybe about an hour, saying, is your service working? Let us know, because so there was some type of interruption even here in Georgia. So there's something going on. Remember, those of you all who can hear me, Dr. Kia is frozen. We just came through a 999 portal, 999, which is, it also represented a global reset or a reset of the earth. Anybody else have gotten notices from your cable provider or had some issues with your technology? Just drop something in the chat. Drop a T in the chat for technology if you've had some issues. She's frozen. Dr. Kia, you are frozen. Okay, she dropped. But don't you want to hear this? Don't you want to hear this? Yes. Okay. So, Dr. Kia, the suggestion is remove all other devices from Wi-Fi, but several people are dropping T's in the comments saying that they've had some issue with technology today. Just drop a T I don't know if your yes is for technology, but you drop a T if you've had an issue. You too? Is that a yes? I don't know what your yeses are for, because we love to say, yeah. Is it a T? Okay. You've had some issues with your technology too? My Lord. Okay. All right. Yep. Listen, something could be happening that could have been announced on CNN. I wouldn't even know, because I haven't tapped into the news. And so I just went on about my day because, it's so much to do to get ready for this. And I don't want to talk over my guest, because she has so much more to offer and to say. And I know, as wives, as women who are in marriages or want to be married, this is not something that we take lightly. It says that you will need to connect your mic in order to add you to the stage, your mic and your camera. Okay, so everybody's saying yes. Yes, you've had some issues. Yes, you want to hear more. Thank you for your patience. I'm just not surprised. If we were gossiping or talking some woo-woo love and light BS, we probably wouldn't be having some of these issues. So here we go. All righty.
Should I go in the back?
Thank you, nephew. He's helping.
Ah,
I'll add you when you get settled. I'll add you when you get settled. When you settle, I'll see you when you sit down. So listen, so much of what we've been taught about our money and our men and our matriarchy is false. It is flipped, it's inverted. And many of us have had grief, poor self assessment, and fractured relationships because we've been functioning off of miseducation. What I like about Dr. Kia is that she combines the ancient wisdom with some of the unknown factors that we don't oftentimes consider. So she's still getting settled. I think she's settled now. Let's see. All right. All right. How you
okay.
feeling? Okay.
I'm feeling good. Can you put up a little bit more? My son is trying to help me. Okay.
Thank you, nephew.
You say you're welcome. Oh my goodness.
So continue, Dr. Kia. From if you want to just take a breath.
Okay. Thank you. Can you see me, sister?
Can see you and hear you loud and clear.
Thank goodness. So I asked my mom, once I lived on the gold mines in Ghana, because in Ghana they just have gold under their feet, and you see gold sparkling, right in the villages. So they don't understand our fascination with gold. Since everybody's so attached to the United States dollar, gold is not really a big deal, and they live with it every day. So they were asking me, about my fascination with gold, and so when I got home, battery power is low. When I got home to my mom, I said, Mom, why do I have this fascination with gold and silver? And all of a sudden, I'm having these dreams and visions about my great grandfather having bags of gold and silver. What happened to the gold and silver that he promised to give us when I was 7 when he passed? And she told me that she was at the time in a spiritual organization that, would ask for money. She didn't have money, and they said, well, just give us what you have. And in 1974, she didn't realize that silver used to be real money, so she just gave them all these bags of coins that was supposed to be my inheritance, her children's inheritance. And she told me, she said, Kia, I didn't know any better. I just wanted to have a relationship with God. And this spiritual center said, give us what we have. And she's like, I'm so sorry, And I said, Mom, it's okay. I said, I'm glad you have that type of spirit that you want to give back to a community because it was the Nation of Islam. And I'm not upset because they taught us to eat to live. And they taught us how to fast. And I learned to fast as a child. And they taught her to get married because marriage was important, So I always try to look at the positive, you know what I mean? And they taught her to put us in private school. So we went to private school in the Nation of Islam while we were in the nation. And the things that they taught her, with all the issues that the nation had, I carried with me. And so I said, Mom, I'm not upset that you gave the silver and gold away. I'm grateful that I lived on the gold mines in Africa and I made a connection through the spirit and the ancestors to utilize that experience and the dreams that I'm having about granddad's gold and money to now help our community and the world,
Wow.
So
Dr.
that was
Kia, I did not know that you were in the Nation of Islam. Do you know we have that shared experience?
no,
You
I
didn't
didn't.
you
That's right.
didn't know that about me?
No, ma'am.
I was in the Nation of Islam for over 9 years. I was a captain, a MGT captain in the Nation of Islam. One
Wow.
of the first female ministers down south, Reverend Dr. Ava Muhammad. Well, they don't call you Reverend in the nation, but Minister Ava
Right.
Muhammad was my first mentor. I walked with Dr. Mother Tinetta Muhammad. I was deeply in the Nation of Islam. So,
Sister, I love the principles that we learned. Um, I I don't have, I know about this backstory of things that happened, but like I said, we were fasting when I was a child. We were, about the Eat to Live book that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote about how to eat clean, and he taught the women how to be subject, and I'm gonna be careful with my words, but submissive to their husband, how to support their husbands,
mhm.
and how children are to obey their parents. So how to respect your body, So when mom would get upset about the things she experienced, when she learned certain things, that were not as good or honorable, I said, Mom, let's just take the things that were honorable and be happy about that. Those
Oh,
things.
wow. That is so, because I have not done a show with some of my sisters who were in the nation with me and who are no longer in the nation, and they've gone through their own transition. It's so funny that Spirit would place somebody. I had no idea. So we was like, look at that. And so,
I know.
wow, that's like a whole nother show because but I did say, who is Dr.
You
Kia
did.
Floyd, right?
Yes. Yes. A strong
So
foundation in the nation. Strong foundation.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're saying you went to Muhammad University.
I didn't know. So we were children, so I didn't know what the name of the university was when we were
Hmm.
growing up. Yes.
And I taught at Muhammad University at one period in my life.
What? Oh
I was a
my God.
teacher at Muhammad University in Chicago at headquarters.
Oh my gosh. So I was in Cleveland, Ohio, and I remember like just the women, the young girls sat over here, the young boys sat in a separate place, and we were very disciplined. My mother's children are the most disciplined people in my whole community. Even as adults, we are the most disciplined out of all the people that grew up around us
Yes.
because of what they instilled in her in the nation.
Wow. And so your mom eventually left the Nation of Islam. Did life change for you, or were you already an adult?
Life did change for me, actually. I was still a child or a young adult, um, a teenager. And it changed for me in some ways for the worse because she and her husband split up. That means, as a single mom, you're going through a whole lot of stuff now, back to where we were before we joined the nation. But the good part of that is mom dabbled in science of the mind, and she studied, Judaism. Then she studied Baptist and holiness, Pentecostal, and we were Catholics. As we were going through her process of evolution,
Yes.
um, I was taking parts of that and subconsciously putting it together into a puzzle.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And once I became an adult, through, I said, wow, every single piece of that puzzle has made me the woman that I am. And I think we're pretty amazing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm grateful.
Let's talk about the woman that you are, so how did you get to tap into your divine feminine?
Whew. How did I tap into my divine feminine? I, in some ways, okay, I have to go back to the nation, teaching women to be separate and different from men. And then when my mom became a single mother again, I watched some of the women that weren't under the nation or under that type of education become extremely brass and masculine.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me uncomfortable as a child because I remembered how I was taught in the nation. And I thought, this doesn't seem natural. And so while my mom was going through some personal problems, she sent me to live with my paternal grandmother, who was a very feminine woman, very, very sweet, very pleasant, very kind. The the matriarch that you have in your head, a big mama.
Yep.
Um, and and I went from watching mom evolve from being a feminine woman to being a feminist. And then she sent me back to grandma, and grandma was very feminine. And I was like, yeah, I looked at both sides and I was like, the feminist women that were in the community, they were so angry. Nothing against feminists, because, once I got to college, I was indoctrinated in feminism too. But they just seemed so angry and hated men. And, you know, I didn't like the energy that was coming from that type of community. And they were so poverty conscious and angry. I'm like, if you're so empowered, why are you all poor with no husbands and no covering and angry and bitter? But grandma over here has a husband, she got a home, they got businesses. And I was like, I want to be like grandma as a
Okay.
child. And so I just started, I said, I looked at both sides and I was like, yeah, I'm going to embrace the divinity that I see in my grandmother.
Wow. You got to it a very organic way. So even though you are and you would be considered an intellectual, did the intellectual meet you at the point of your organic awakening about womanhood?
Mm. Did the intellectual meet me? Can you say it another way for
Yeah,
me?
so like with the things that like the things you may have studied, the resources, a workshop, a process, someone who turned the light bulb on to give you the language of what you had experienced in your own matriarchal line between your mother, your grandmother. Did you now start getting more information to support you?
I did. I started getting more information. And as I became a so called intellectual, I was evolving. And I came to a crossroads where it was like I'm learning all this rhetoric about being a strong Black woman. And I went through a divorce from my children's father. And so while I'm in college, I'm learning about strong Black women, feminism. Um, you can do it by yourself. But real life was teaching me at the same time, you can't do it by yourself. You got three boys and a girl, and the three boys are now coming of age and they're starting to challenge you as a woman. And I'm like, look, I don't know about all this feminism stuff and all this intellectual stuff I've been learning. I'm not taking to nobody's streets and I ain't fighting for nothing because I need help. Okay, so I have sons that were growing up at the time I was, coming up in college because I got married at 18. So my children and I were kind of growing up together. Um, and I was like, I'm not going to turn on my husband, even though we had problems and we divorced. I need his help. I'm just going to be honest, I'm and I need his family's help. And I'm not going to struggle by myself. I hear what everybody's saying in college about being a strong Black woman, burn your bras, and how we can do it. You came a long way, baby, and all, these cigarette commercials and stuff that was going on. I was like, I don't want that. So I'm going to be an intellect and I'm going to take this intellectual knowledge to help me raise these children and strengthen and bless my community. So I called my husband back and I said, we may have problems and we may be divorced and you may have another family, but guess what? You got two wives now, because whoever she is and whatever she doing with her kids, she going to have to just get over it because you coming back home. And we're going to raise all these kids together.
What, Dr. Kia, keep talking. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. And so was the other wife on board?
No way, because they weren't legally married. So she was angry because she was like, you wouldn't legally marry me. I could have maybe stopped all this. And I knew her. That was the thing. I knew her. And I told her, I said, look, I don't want to tell too much in my business, but I was like,
Yeah,
look,
right.
look, I know you and you know me. My husband and I were divorced. You slid in and maybe y'all are a better match. I was like, but we can do something. I was like, look, I know you don't like the idea that I'm getting over the fact that you kind of slid in, because she was my friend, actually.
Oh,
Y'all
wow.
kind of, yeah. I said, but look, I'm over it. I said, because I got children. Okay. My feelings is going to have to be put aside. I'm over. I love you. You were my friend, like really my best friend. I love you. You were my friend. He's my husband. I love you both. I hope this isn't going off the path too much.
No, this is a real thing that we sometimes as women don't have space to talk about and edify, because you've already elevated it. You're giving us the chronology of how you got to be walking in your destiny. So continue.
Yes, ma'am. No, so I said, let's just do this as a whole family. And she didn't like it. And She would tell him it's not fair, and but he was like, look, he would tell her, that's my wife. Like, like, we got kids together, we went to school together, we came up together, and I love you, but I'm not going to turn my back on her. She's got my children, and she's willing to help you. Like, when she got sick, I was there helping her, and I was helping when they had their first baby. He brought the baby to me. So he was like, I can't turn my back on her. She's supporting us. When they were financially had hardships, and I was there. Do you know, like, I used the intellect that God gave me, the resources God gave me, because I was able to work now that I had a college degree. I'm like, you can look, y'all can be over there, I don't care, but at dinner time, I expect everybody to be at this house. Holidays, I expect everybody to be at this house. When she's sick, I will be there at her bedside. I will be giving her medicine. When you sick and she can't take care of you, you gonna move in here. And all these, because she had 3, I had 4, and they had 4 together. I was like, guess what? I'm the mama of all of them. I'm the eldest mama. She can be the second mama. And then the reason why I did this, sister, is because I was like, I can either be bitter and angry and hateful and have an attitude, or I can choose to be loving, forgiving, kind, and nurturing for the sake of my children and for the sake of legacy. And that's what I said. I said, Douglas Lattimore was my husband. God rest his soul. He passed a couple years ago. I said, that's the man God gave me. I said, I do to him. I said, till death do us part. And I don't care if there are divorce papers signed, till death do us part. I repent. I'm sorry about the separation and the divorce. I'm sorry I couldn't forgive, but I choose to have patience and long suffering and love, because the Bible says that the fruit of the Spirit is love and kindness and meekness and patience and long suffering. And if I really believe in that, then I have to live it and walk it out in front of my babies for the sake of legacy. And I ask myself, what is the long lasting impact that you want to leave on your children's lives? It's not just money and silver and gold and wealth. I'm grateful that my great grandfather taught me about that. I'm grateful I got to live on the mines in Ghana. But what is the impact I want to leave on my children? It's core values of family, love, community, goodness, kindness, patience, long suffering, meekness. And I have to be the first walking example of that. And so that's what I did. She wasn't on board, but she got on board eventually. And when she would have problems, I'd be like, I'm not going anywhere. And when they had problems, I would go right to the house, because he didn't live with me at the time. They lived together. And I had them at my house during times. She was sickly at times, so she had to have somebody to help her. And so I was just like, it's just gonna have to work for these kids, for these babies. I'm not gonna turn my back on these babies. Not now. One of them, not your 3, not my 4, and not the 4 that y'all got together. And to this day, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, to this day.
To this day, they are adults. Her daughters, they kind of felt some way about it, but I helped raise them before she got with my husband. She was my best friend. So I was always Mama Kia, and I'm going to always be Mama Kia. One of them called me to this day. She in her 30s. Mama Kia, what should I do? The other 2 kind of, went off. Those were her kids. But they're 4 together. I'm Mama Kia, Aunt Kia, and I'm the second mama.
So Dr. Kia, let's go on and get into the deep shit box, because this is deep shit. I can't find another way to edify this.
I didn't even mean to go into that, sis. I didn't.
But God, this is a divine setup because of the downloads that I've been getting before we even got here about what would it take for a woman who's listening, who is saying absolutely not, but yet she's single, raising her children alone, frustrated, or the woman who's in a relationship with an alpha man who has children and issues. There's something that happened and clicked inside of you that made you say, you made everybody say, okay, we're doing family polygyny. It's not polyamory, it's polygyny. How did you,
I'm sorry.
was you even thinking like that, or you were just thinking in terms of, I gotta raise these kids?
I was thinking I have to raise these kids, and I loved my children's father. I love my husband. We grew up together. So I was thinking I have to raise these kids. I love my husband, and I was thinking I remember the day that it happened. I was staying with my sister-in-law because we had been divorced. I was struggling by myself. I called my sister-in-law. She said, "Girl, you my sister. You ain't my sister-in-law. Come on back." So I was staying with her, and I remember Douglas called me. My husband called me, and he said, "Liz and I are pregnant." And I was like, I was so angry, and I was like, "How could you? We were going to get back together, and I know y'all had started something, but." And God stopped me in my track. It was like the Spirit spoke to me and asked me, "Have you ever needed forgiveness?" I will never forget the day. I will never. Have you ever needed forgiveness? While I was talking to him, and I said, "I gotta go," and I hung up the phone, and I just went in my room in my sister-in-law's house, and I started crying, and I was like, "Yes, I've needed forgiveness," and God said, "Then I need you to forgive." And it was, and that I made a decision right there, that I'm going to have to. I want to choose to live in peace. I want to choose to live in forgiveness because I've always wanted to be the highest expression of myself. I learned that in college, to be highly self-actualized, and I meant it. The Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization. Then another psychologist came and revisited Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and he said, okay, there's a higher point to get that rather than a high self-actualization. That's transcendence, where you actually transcend self-actualization. You start teaching self-actualization to
Yes.
others. So I
Yes.
said, how can you be highly self-actualized if you can't forgive? How can you be highly self-actualized if you're going to be so selfish that you can't do whatever it takes for the sake of legacy and for the sake of your family? And
Wow.
in that moment, I made a decision.
Do you think that this is, when you study the Industrial Revolution and the World War, this is when the psychological campaign began to shift towards women,
Yeah.
the direct women that led to feminism and women having more of a voice. Even, you could go date this back as far back to the Mr. Clean commercials. Like there's a real
Mhm.
chronology that white women were targeted to make them. That's how the whole, to make the Industrial Revolution work. We weren't even considered. But how do you think we got here so fragmented as families with all of this individualism that we have? Because that took a real community mind.
I've asked myself that over and over, and I've heard different stories. Um, I think they played on the weaknesses of women. When we're emotional, and I'm gonna be careful how I say it. Sometimes we can be easily persuaded, and they
Yeah.
use commercials. They put drugs in the community.
Hmm.
Um, and some of our men, got kind of caught up in drugs, and some of them had problems getting jobs. I think it was a whole campaign, honestly, to attack the men on one hand, the women on the other hand, and then the children through education in schools.
Yes. So all of the systems that we have trusted pretty much was by design to fail us and to
Yeah.
miseducate us on
Yes.
everything.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Those are my thoughts. And even right now as I speak, sister, like, I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying, oh, you got to go back to polygyny. I'm not saying that. I support polygyny, monogamy, and I wouldn't be polygynous with any man, just anybody, you know what I'm saying? It would have to be a certain circumstance. Um, I believe in monogamy. I believe in whatever works for the people involved, honestly, and whatever works best for the society or the community. That's what I think people should do.
So you raised your boys, you created this family unit. What has been some of the benefits based on what your children have said? What if they told you about that decision that you made to pull the whole community together?
They said they told me, "Thank you, mom. Thank you." They tell me that all the time because they said we had our father. they said the people that didn't have their father that they know, um, they struggled. We still struggle somewhat financially, but they had a male presence. My daughter know what it feels like to be a daddy's girl. Thank you, mom. My sons, thank you, mom, because dad, he was a great musician, and now all my sons are excellent musicians. That's how they make their living. He also owned a construction business, so they know how to build homes. And they were like, "Mom, thank you that you're not an angry woman. You wouldn't talk bad against dad. You." They still remember the fights that we had in our earlier days, because we were divorced and breaking up for certain things that was going on around us. But they say thank you that you made that decision, and they tell me, we know it was you. We know it was you. Thank you for making that decision, because now we're not broken. We don't have problems, like some of our friends. We loved our daddy. You helped us take care of him. If you weren't around, nobody would have taken care of dad, because his other companion got sick too. So they always say thank you. They appreciate it.
Wow. So this is good to that your children were able to affirm the choices and decisions that you made. But Dr. Kia, there's a conversation happening about Black women and their accountability or lack of accountability in the community. You had singer Kelly Price. I wish I had prepared a clip. Who made a post who said Black women are some of the most disrespectful women on the planet, da, da, da. She went through her thing. Then Tabitha Brown came out and told people lovingly, if you're struggling, that it's okay to go get a job. And Black women are tearing her up. There are a lot of conversations on podcasts and reality shows where a lot of Black women, and I would say I would even take it off of, if you're not just a melanated woman listening, independent American women who are so difficult to tell anything to. What do you think that's happening in this season, that this conversation is now coming up for us to look at ourselves?
What do I think is happening? I struggle between my two thoughts. On one hand, I feel like the women are being attacked because no society can raise any stronger than the values of a woman, of its women.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are the ones that decide which life comes into existence. We are the ones that do most of the teaching. And so I feel like we're being attacked, and we're being, almost through all the programming, forced to turn against our husbands. But on the other hand, I also feel like there may be it's almost like a extra correction happening because of the I don't want to say it's the patriarchy, but the system. I don't want to call the system patriarchy, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like maybe women are angry, and they're expressing that anger, and maybe women are seeking a balance. I'm trying to understand this, but I struggle because my daughter is trying to help me to see that women, are angry. A lot of women have been abused. A lot of women have been mistreated. A lot of women have been, left by their husbands. A lot of, and I hear what she's saying, but I still think and feel in my heart that we've been under attack. And I don't think it's necessarily the men. I think it's a system.
Okay. This is a systemic issue that now is coming to a head, like everything else. It's coming to a head for us to have these difficult conversations and reassess everything. If we can, if we have the tools to be able to do that. Now, that being said, I want to shift, because you talked about a lot about forgiveness and the anger that's in a lot of women who look like us. You have received a lot of criticism from people who look like us because of your position about, women being able to support their husbands and to reclaim their families and do what you have to do to be cooperative in order to build your family structure. You've been very vocal and very unapologetic about that. And not to mention your political views. that has garnered you so much name calling and so much more from your own people, and you do exactly that. You laugh at it, you come back to it, and you speak on it, and you keep speaking, and you keep educating. Dr. Kia, I don't even need to get into the details of the what. I want to get into the details of how have you continued to be a love agent.
Mm. It's a drive that's in me. I know that when I came with a mission and a purpose. And I would encourage everybody to seek out and remember what that purpose is. And my purpose was to liberate humanity. I've always said it, I've always known it. My purpose is to liberate humanity, and by all means necessary. And one of the ways to do that is to reclaim the family and also reclaim our place as women to support the husband, not usurp authority from him, not try to be him, but to support him for the sake of family and legacy, because we've turned away from that. And look at our community. I'm a teacher as well. I've taught in public school systems. Now I'm a substitute school teacher. I see the ramifications of women being incorrigible, disrespectful, hard-headed, independent, callous, not needing a man, not wanting a man, being disrespectful to men, and all it's doing is hurting the children, which is therefore hurting the community. And now our kids are all angry. They're shooting each other up. They're doing drugs. The girls are twerking in the schools, having sex in the bathrooms. The boys are shooting up each other. They're angry. And when I ask them why you're angry, I don't know who my daddy is, or my mama's always talking about my daddy. And this is what I say to women: I don't care what he does. It's your responsibility to be responsible for how you respond to what he does. You have to respond in a very spiritual way. If you're a spiritual woman and you have purpose and you are concerned about your children, you do what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Because most men actually respond to the energy of women. That has been my observation.
Mm-hmm.
So, whereby I know some men are abusive, but if you ask a woman, what did you do? Then she's going to get offended, because a lot of us got a big mouth that we need to learn to shut. A lot of us have been told that we're equal. And so we want to step to a man and get in his face, not understanding how men operate. When men are challenged, when men come face to face with somebody that wants to challenge them or their authority or backtalk them, they react in violence. Back in the day, we understood that you don't step to a man, you don't spit in his face, you don't put your finger in his face, you don't question him, you don't disrespect him, because he just might lay hands on you.
Well, this is that's where we've had the reverse happening, because a lot of the what is the motto? The motto is, I don't care what I said or what I did, you don't put your hands on me, Dr.
Yeah.
King. So now you're rubbing somebody the wrong way, particularly if they are from domestic violence or witness domestic violence.
Yes.
So there's some women who also would say, come on, y'all, talk in the comments. I know your mouth might be open, but talk to us in the comments.
I've been domestically abused. I've been through domestic violence. I've lived in a domestic violence shelter. And you know what I had to do, Reverend Doctor? I had to take accountability for my part, my mouth, my lack of respect, my lack of unforgiveness, my venomous anger, how I responded to certain situations. I don't care if, look, you can't control a man's body. Even if he goes out and cheat, that doesn't give you a right to cuss him out. I mean, you might, because you're angry, hit him, take the kids away. You have to always operate in integrity. And this is what I'm accountable for my actions. I'm accountable for my behavior. I had to repent, turn away from my behavior and stay in my place as a lady.
So Dr. Kia, what about the woman who has been helping men? They've helped the man, because we again, our entire families have been inverted. You have a new generation where the men are a lot softer than the men that were in our generation, because they've been raised by single women with a lot of estrogen. And so you have men that express emotions like women. And so you have women who have had to harden because they had to figure it out. They had to do something different, right? So you might be really walking heavy and talking, and where some women may not want to hear that, because they're like, stood by him. I helped him open businesses, and he still stepped out on me. He still did this or that. You know, there's somebody in the comments who won't write it in the
I
comments.
understand. No, write it. Right. Express yourself. We're here to heal. No,
So,
I feel that. I understand.
so
So
what do you say to women who have legitimately experienced or witnessed their mother experience the systemic sabotage of our men's mental health that made them not a good spouse or not a good partner to build with?
my response is, what type of life do you want to live? What is your vision?
Mm,
Look into the future and actually see it, write it down, draw it out, whatever, do a vision board, and let that place frame how you respond now. Because no matter what we've been through, we're still the captain and the creator of our lives and our experiences. If you desire to have a future that's peaceful, a loving, abundant, and full of joy, then no matter what happened, we're going to have to correct that. And that might be through counseling. But I hear what you're saying. Like some people, they couldn't help it. They had to become hardened. They had to do whatever it took, maybe took to the street or whatever. I don't know, but still, what is your future? What is your dream? What are your dreams and your goals? Because reality bends towards frequency. So if you still operate in that angry frequency, if you're still operating in that hardness, that hard shell, then you're going to continue to experience hardness and anger and experiences that's going to bring about pain if you continue to dwell there. So again, reality bend towards frequency or bend towards your consciousness. At some point, we're going to have to do a paradigm shift, and we're going to have to shift our frequency and do whatever it takes to shift your frequency. How do you get a joyful frequency after having to be hardened and having to be the man and the woman? You make a choice to heal. You make a choice to realize your goal and your dreams. And it all starts with you. It all starts with me. Oftentimes we say, well, he did that and she did this and this person, the system, this, the white man, white supremacy, my husband, that. What about you? What can you do? Focus on what you can control. Because when you get to wherever you're going, and you're whether I don't know if you believe in heaven, if you want to go to heaven, you still got to be a good person. If you want your heart to be weighed on the scales of Ma'at, it still has to be light as a feather to ascend. So it doesn't matter what you've been through. I mean, it matters to me. I want to hear it. I'll help you through it, but you still have to do the work. And those babies, they care to an extent what you went through, but in some they just want to know, are you going to be mom? Are you going to love me? Are you going to take care of me? They don't want to hear, your daddy did this, your daddy stepped out on me. They still love their father. And they shouldn't have to choose between mama and daddy because he stepped out. Because let me tell you something. Men would tell you it's not in my nature to be with one woman. Now, I don't believe in cheating. I don't like it. I don't support it. But they will tell you it is not in my nature to be with one woman. I don't know what to do with that, Sister Latanya, but I would tell you, if he steps out and you can't forgive, move on, but get some counseling and do what it takes, because you have to raise these babies and you still have a goal to obtain. And ultimately, if you want to ascend higher into consciousness, you still got to do the work.
That's where I want to build because we are talking about wholeness and womanhood. And so you're talking about, you still got to do the work. Yes. And do you think that, that we really want to do the work?
No.
Why? Tell us why.
And I don't, because women have been given a pass for so long. That we can do anything, say anything, act in this type of way. The government will support us. DEI programs will support us. Everybody's supposed to shut up and let us be however we want to be. So What I see is it's become second nature to be disrespectful, rude, callous, mean, say he did this to me, that's why I'm that. No, a lot of us don't want to do the work. Why should you? We've walked around with a sense of entitlement for so long, and we don't like giving an account for our lives, for our mistakes, how we responded to other people. We don't like to give an account for anything. these
Mm-hmm.
days. I'm just talking about the collective. I'm not saying
Yeah.
individuals.
Yeah.
And it looks like we don't want to change. And men are telling you, they're telling you what they need. They're telling you, I need the opposite of me. I need a soft woman. I'm not going to be soft. I need a pleasant woman. I'm not going to be pleasant. I need a woman that doesn't let anybody run through their bodies. I can sleep with however many people I want. Well, that's why you emotionally cray because you didn't let all these energies up through your sacred space without cleansing yourself. And now we got a lot of us have mental illnesses, and we think it's okay. What I see is a lot of us don't want to do the work, and we pass our behavior down to the younger girls. And they think this is natural for us to think we're equal to a man. You're amazing and powerful as mama and as a woman in your own right. But to think that we're physically equal to a man is absurd, in my humble opinion. No, in my strong opinion.
Yes, yes, yes.
I don't think we want to do the work, sister. And you know what I think it's going to take? Struggle.
But wouldn't you say we've been struggling enough?
Mm-mm, mm-mm. No, because if you don't want to stay with your husband, you can get Section 8. You can, and I don't really don't want to disrespect anybody. You can, because I've been on welfare before, and then they broke down my door looking for my husband. And I was like, y'all can keep this $135 check, but I'm gonna get my man back. But anyway, you could get Section 8. You can get a job. I mean, we've struggled, but you can be disrespectful and arrogant, and you can be any kind of way. You can hit a man today. You can call the police on them, even if you incited the violence, and he's going to be the one to go to jail. And we struggle, yes, but a lot of the struggle we brought on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we can always rely on government programs or somebody's sympathy because a woman can do no wrong. And I'm not talking about, of course, individual cases, but I can almost assure you that women who say, no, my situation is different, I couldn't change, it was him, I can almost assure you that if you actually heard the story, that they both played a part in whatever problems they had.
Right, right. Wow. So this really is a setup of why we can't get to family banking and cooperative economics, because of the unforgiveness and the breakdown and the unwillingness to hear feedback, and I'm going to do it my way. And so, when we start talking about family banking as a preparation for the change in currency, this is where you get real active.
I do.
Can you tell this audience how that connects to our investment, silver and gold and cryptocurrency? And then we're going to talk about Nasera Jacera.
Okay. There's a scripture that says that the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous, and a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children.
Woo!
Doug?
Uh-oh. She paused. You're on pause again. That's when we're going to have to make up a little bit for the 25 minutes or 30 minutes or so it for us to get to where we need to be for this to make sense to you. And so if you are watching quietly, please let me know if there's something that rubs you the wrong way, that you disagree with. It's okay. We don't have to talk the same talk. But when we get ready to sing, we do got to be on the same note. It's an energy. So we are talking through this. This is shift talk. This is taboo subjects. Dr. Kia, you're frozen. If you can hear me, we were waiting for you to pop back in. And of course, we were just getting ready to get into it, because one of the things that Rod Hayes talks about in terms of preparation for our families and others, there are many other channels who are devoted, and churches. There are churches, there are communities that that saw the handwriting on the wall in 2020 and started preparing their people. Those of you who are in my community, you know that we had something called the Queen's Piece, where you had an opportunity to invest in silver with me, through me, or what I was representing. Some of you did that. There were those of you who have been on my team for gold. You understand gold and banking And there are some of you who understand fiat currency, what fiat currency is. There, for Karen, in the spirit of two husbands for 500 Alex, I want to give a bonus session of how many of you know what fiat currency is. How many of you understand the language of what fiat currency is? Because just like we're talking about um, fiat currency, we're getting ready to move into a discussion around fiat currency and gold and silver being the real money. We have had faux conversations about fake things for years. Fake marriages, fake power couples, fake education, fake this. So our money also has been fake. You know what Dana says, I know what fiat currency is. Okay. Anybody else know what fiat currency is? Okay. All right. So, we got Dr. Kia back into the room. So, Dr. Kia, what is the connection between the breakdown of our families and our economic situation? Can you tell us from your economic studies and focus? I think she's still getting back on. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you. Oh, I apologize. I had to move to another phone.
Wow.
So can you ask me the question one more time, please?
Yes. What is the connection between what we just broke down in terms of our families being broken, our identity and roles being broken in our families, to our economics? What is the connection?
Ooh. Well, it's been very, very challenging for one parent to actually focus on building wealth while raising children. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's been challenging because you're only one person. And so when you see the breakdown of the family and you look at the statistics, you see that you have so many issues that correlate to broken families or single parenthood, unfortunately. It shows that, the statistics show that single parent households, unfortunately, correlates with young males becoming violent, correlates with young girls getting pregnant earlier. It correlates with moms that are economically and financially struggling. It just makes more sense. The Bible, go back to the Bible. That's my foundation, along with the Nation of Islam. That says two are strong, two are better than one. So financially, economically, unfortunately, in America, so-called Black Americans are at the very bottom of the pyramid.
Yes.
And when you look at what's different from us and everybody else, it's that we don't have a marriage culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I do understand and understand, sister, that marriages are hard. I understand all the systemic issues. I do. I get that. I'm just stating statistically what we know is that we're at the bottom of the totem pole. Marriage correlates with wealth, at least under this existing system. So the good news, though, is that even if you're a single parent, you can learn information that will enable you to accumulate wealth. And it won't be just contingent upon one, everybody having to go out and work. However, it may be a little more challenging to accumulate the amount of wealth that you would if you had a two-parent family. But again, I want to focus on the good news. If you know what to invest in, you can leave a legacy for your children. Because I'll go back to the scripture that I was saying before we got cut off, is that the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous, but a good man or a wise man or woman leaves an inheritance for his children's children. A lot of people focus on the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. And I think it's because you're like, yeah, they're going to have to pay us back. All that wealth that they've accumulated is going to have to come back to us. But another thing I see that's a problem with people with a poverty mindset is they're always looking for a handout. Oh, they're going to give it to me. But you forgot the latter part of that scripture that says a wise person leaves an inheritance for his children's children. I mean, you got to do whatever it takes to leave something for your children. You can't wait on a system, a government, or the wealthy to leave their inheritance for you. You have to do something. It goes right back to what I always talk about is accountability. What is your accountability to making sure your family is whole, healthy, and stable?
So let's talk about then what are some of the ways that gold, silver, or cryptocurrency can prepare us for the new currency that's coming. And I also will I don't know if the comments are coming in delayed, because there is a comment about being a domestic violence survivor, but I want you to get this point in before I show it. And I
Okay.
want those of you who were rubbed the wrong way, have questions,
Mhm.
see it differently, go on and put your comments in it
Please.
here so that we can unpack it a little bit. But right now, talk a little bit more about the gold, silver, and cryptocurrency preparing us for the new money.
So gold and silver historically have been considered money for many, many civilizations throughout, you know, hundreds and thousands of years. And here in America, according to our republic, in our constitution for our republic, our lawful government, silver and gold can only be used as money. So since silver and gold can constitutionally only be used as money, then we kind of question, why has the US dollar been used? Why? What made the US dollar the world reserve currency? What made the United States dollar the world reserve currency was the United States Incorporated, the group of bloodline families that control America, having an agreement with Saudi Arabia to protect the Saudi kingdom in exchange for their oil. And then we would force all nations to get oil from Saudi Arabia using the United States dollar. However, Saudi Arabia just joined the BRICS Union, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and they agreed to stop trading with the dollar and to not renew the contract with the deep state, Illuminati, cabal, whoever you want to call them, the bloodline families, also known as the United States Incorporated. So that means that the dollar dominance has been destroyed. Simultaneously, the BRICS nations and Saudi Arabia and all of the nations that joined BRICS have said we're going back to gold and silver as money, but they did it quietly behind the scenes. Many people thought that would leave America out, that many nations, most of the world joined Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, known as BRICS. And if they didn't join that coalition, then they joined the Shanghai Corporation, which are Asian nations, to say we're coalescing against or teaming up against the United States Incorporated. We're teaming up against the United States dollar, the Federal Reserve System, and we're all going back to gold. So that people are like, what's going to happen in America?
Mm-hmm.
Behind the scenes, legislatures have passed laws to reclaim silver and gold as money. Most people don't know it because mainstream media will not report on that. So what they did with state legislators said, we're removing or repealing the state sales tax from the sales of precious metals, because precious metals, silver and gold, is money. And according to our constitution, you cannot tax money. So if you get into, or when you get into silver and gold, and if you can do it now while there's a gold rush before gold and silver, shoots through the roof because it's going up, then you will position yourself to have wealth, because silver and gold are money. Silver and gold maintain their value. Silver and gold never decrease in value. It's a head against inflation. It means like a dollar. Back when we were children, with $1 you can buy Lay's potato chips, a can of pop, a Snickers bar, and a stick of gum, a pack of gum. Now with the dollar, due to inflation and the dollar losing 98% of its purchasing power, you can't even get a can of pop. I can't even get a bag of Lay's potatoes. I don't even think you can get a pack of gum with the dollar.
Right.
But gold has maintained its purchasing power. Silver has maintained its purchasing power. Silver and gold maintain their stability and their power. And all over the world, silver and gold are considered money. So you can get silver and gold as right now, and it's going to keep going up. When I was able to buy my first piece of silver in 2017, it cost me $14 an ounce. Now, silver is now $42 an ounce. I made a great return on my investment. And what I would do, I would just buy 1 ounce a month. Until I got a little more money, I would buy a little more. Now I have some wealth. And what Andy Scheckman, who is the CEO of Miles Franklin Precious Metals, taught me is, don't just look at silver and gold as money.
look at it as wealth or something that you will pass down to your children. Because if you just look at it as money, you're going to spend it.
Mm.
He's like, spend the fiat, get you some silver and gold, and use that for buying the other things that you need. But think about the gold and silver being something that you're going to pass down. Because just think about it. If my great grandfather was able to bequeath me those silver and gold coins back in 1974 when he passed, I would be completely wealthy today.
Listen, I there's a sister in our community who went through breast cancer, and she had to stop working and get treatments, and she had the mindset of investing, and she couldn't afford the gold, so she invested in silver. And when she couldn't work and she was sick and she was healing herself, one of the things that she had was silver. She was able to turn those silver coins in and save her house from
Wow.
going into foreclosure. And she and I became partners who taught a while ago, back when carrot bars existed, that how to invest in gold. And that's when we became more familiar with all of the banking systems that we've been ill taught as well. Now, cryptocurrency is also a scary topic. And so people are saying that, right now the XRP and the conversion is coming from our currency to cryptocurrency, and that if you have savings in your bank account, you better get it out. Like, there's so many voices. There's always fear-based voices. What I like about you is that you are able to transcend and translate the fear-based voices about that. Can you just talk a little bit about even how maybe the XRP or just cryptocurrency investing plays a role as well?
Yeah, so we're moving towards a digital system, period. Like, even if you have foreign currencies, when you exchange those in, it will go into your account as a digital asset. And the reason why, from a positive perspective, we're moving to a digital aspect is because a lot of the money, the dollars that we have, actually have rituals and magic on it. The rich people don't even carry fiat in their hands because of the money magic that's been worked on that. And so we're going to get rid of all that and use digital assets, because eventually we're going to move from that digital system to not using money at all. Because as the monetary system is changing, so is the planet. The planet is ascending. We're ascending. Our bodies are ascending to become more crystalline, and you're able to manifest quicker now. People are probably noticing that they can speak something and it happens, or think about somebody and it happens. That's because the planet is ascending to the fifth dimension and beyond. Dr. Delbert Blair taught us about that in the 90s. So the planet is ascending, your body and your DNA is being upgraded, you're ascending, you're moving to a crystalline body where eventually you won't need food or water or money. You'll be able to just manifest things. So the digital system is just a precursor to moving to a time period where we'll be able to manifest things. Also, when it's digital, it will be monitored. Now, that makes some people a little uncomfortable, because who's monitoring? Is it going to be the government? Are they going to be able to shut off what we do digitally? Well, yeah, possibly. Or you can choose to look at it from a positive perspective, knowing that the ancestors have returned, the Galactic Federation of galactic beings, many of whom are ancestors, have returned. And they're monitoring this digital system so that nobody can buy children anymore.
Talk about it.
Guns, or drugs. So now we have to have a good heart, a clean heart. And that's why I'm saying, no matter what you've been through, yes, I'm going to empathize with you. I'm going to hold your hand through it. But at some point, we have to take accountability for our own lives, because you're going to have a clean heart, and you're going to have a good soul, and you're going to have good intentions in this new system into which we're going. And that even means when it relates to the monetary system, because if you don't have a righteous spirit and a righteous heart, and you use those digital assets for something that's malevolent or bad, your money will be cut off. But I would say, don't worry about it. Just be righteous. Just be clean. Just be good. Just realize that you're God. You are God in flesh.
Mm.
You
Now
are
be
source.
good, be good, be clean. Those are triggers for our community because we've heard religiosity, religion, what pimps in the pulpit talk about being good. You know, the women in my community have done a lot of work to get over being good and what it
Mhm.
has meant in the distorted sense. So when we
Okay.
hear terms like be good, be clean, it can be a real trigger for a woman who has gotten free from the
Oh.
old paradigm language, even about her womanhood. This can be
Mm.
very triggering to a woman that has done processes to reframe and restructure how she thinks outside of God putting her in a heaven and a hell. Because
Oh.
this is a big thing for people who are still religiously recovering. And so when we use language like be clean, be righteous, be good, you're talking to women who also have many degrees, but they didn't have the knowledge of what was, miseducating them. And so there are
Mm.
women who have gone through real rites of passage to understand that not only am I clean, I am the holy ground. I am the liberator.
Yes.
I am the God in the flesh, that I'm
Mm-hmm.
the portal. So when you use that language, are you aware that you could be turning off some of the women who have done soul work?
I was not aware of that. And, I should be because I grew up also in a Pentecostal church where everything you did as a woman was, wrong. So when I say be good, be clean, be whole, I even go so far. I taught my children be perfect. What I
Oh,
mean by perfect, because people don't necessarily look at the etymology of words.
mm,
The etymology of perfect in the scriptural sense is whole or complete. That's what I mean
mm,
by be good, be
mhm,
clean, be complete, be whole, be self-actualized. And that just comes from a place of saying, look, I know where I am or where I was, but I also know where I intend to go. I'm God in flesh. And that's
mhm,
another thing I catch flack from for saying I'm God, because everything is energy.
mhm,
We all came from source.
mhm.
Even the and I don't understand my Christian friends, their Bible says, know you not, you are God's. Psalms 84, I think it was 84 or 82:7 says you are God's. The Christ and St. John said you are God's. When you know that you are God's, when you know that you are source in flesh, at some point you have to create the reality that you desire to
Oh my God.
experience.
I've been talking, that's been on my spirit all week about to talk to the reality creators because when we start talking about the 144,000, we know that that's a spiritual number. We know that that's a number of transcendence, but
Yes.
when we talk about that 144,000, there are not a lot of people who are really willing to have a reality creator conversation.
Mm.
And essentially, that's what I hear you talking about: creating your reality as a mother,
Yeah.
creating your reality as a wife, even if that means you have to overcome all of the things. Creating your reality in terms of money. Now, I'm gonna hold the political part later because
Okay.
there was a comment that I want to capture where my sister says, she says, I'm a domestic violence survivor.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
she went on to say, he was mentally violent and beat me
Mm.
if I was late due to traffic. He was
Mm.
from Nigeria and was taught to train women with violence.
Ooh.
She says, there is no accountability I need to take. And that's where I want you to speak to
Yeah.
that, because you could piss a lot of people off, Dr. Kia, if you make blanket statements, not
Yes.
understanding that
I
there are some women out here who've been through some real topsy-turvy experiences. So let's talk about it.
yes, and I want to
What
say
kind of
I am.
accountability would Tony have to take given that she was in something like that?
Yeah, and Sister Tony, I'm so sorry you went through that. It was not your fault. As you know, you did not deserve that. That is his accountability for the way that he treated you. What I would encourage, and I'm sure you've already done the work, is to take, for a woman that's been through domestic violence that wasn't their fault. Of course, there's no reason for you to be hit, is to take accountability for your future. And that's why I said you always have to look ahead. So there are two things that I encourage my children to do, myself, my community, is to have a mission statement and a vision statement. A mission statement for yourself, what is your purpose? And a vision statement, where do you see yourself going in the future for yourself, your family, your business, your community? So when you look at the future, what vision do you have for yourself? Take accountability for that and then work backwards. So I see myself as a whole woman that's leaving wealth for my children, that's doing amazing things for my community. But in order to do that, I need to be healed. I have to take accountability for, or I would encourage us to take accountability for where we want to go in the future, and take accountability for how we're going to get there. Not for the abuse that occurred necessarily. You know I said that some people might have egged on violence, and that wasn't your case, but still some accountability would be, so are we going to stay in a place of lack? Are we going to have a poverty mentality, a lack conscious mentality? Are we going to not create wealth? Are we not going to raise our children? Are we going to stay and not heal? And that's a choice. But what is it that you desire? What do you see for yourself in the future? And this is what I like about my life coaching experience. I was trained as a counselor in a rape therapy means, it translates to the rapist. That's why I try not to use the word therapist. I was a therapist. But in therapy, I would hear a lot of stories, and what I noticed, and because I went through a lot too. I was abused as a child. I was sexually assaulted. I've been abused and beat and all kind of things. And I won't even go into stuff I went through in my own home, when I was a child. But the more I talked about it, Dr. Taylor, the more I stayed stuck. The more I continued to, create experiences that will leave me in that mentality of being so sad. And that energy just stayed with me. But when I went through training to become a life coach, then I learned to take women, men, and children from where they are to where they desire to be. That's why I said be futuristic. What is your goal? And then we set SMART goals to help you achieve your ultimate goal. It must be specific. It must be measurable. It must be, what's the A? I can't think of the A word. Specific, measurable. I can't remember the A word.
Actionable, maybe.
Thank you. Reachable and time tested. The time, you have to set a time frame, because that will help us propel ourselves from the energy of being, I don't want to say some of us have really been victims, but it will take us out of that mentality, out of the
victim mentality.
Yeah.
Now, listen, it's true. The victim mentality, nobody wins when we stay in, no matter what you've been through. If you wear what you've been through as your badge of honor, it will keep you stuck energetically through that identity. I'd say the same thing. For years, I can tell I have experienced abuse. I've experienced assault. I've experienced feeling like the black sheep of my family. And I would have died on a hill for years if you had told me I wasn't, until and this is the work that we do privately, is being able to let go of that identity is the work. It's not just reading the book. It's not just Googling something and now saying it. It's not just chanting and being vegan. It is literally, it says this word says, create in me a clean heart, renew in me a right spirit. But Iyanla taught me to say this part, to add this part to your prayers. Show me to me. Because she says, I dare you to add the sentence, show me to me, because the heart, the part of the heart cleanup is the heart metaphysically represents the subconscious mind. And so if we still have energetic cords to our victim story, we cannot ascend the way that we want to. So that's my translation of it.
Thank you.
I want to close out with being politically incorrect in the minds of the majority. 92% of Black women were enlisted, and I do mean enlisted, to be a part of this last election. A lot of 92% of Black women were very heartbroken, including others, with the outcome of the election. You, my sister, have never wavered on your position. You do not apologize for your position, and you explain why. And one of the things that I find very interesting is, why isn't it in the political commentary about Nasera Jassera? Because when you look it up, they say that Nasera Jassera is not real, that it's a farce. That when you look it up, they call it there's a name for it when it's they don't call it an old wives' tale. They internet a myth or something. They call it a myth, Nasera Jassera. But you've talked about Nasera Jassera a lot. Can you talk? Can you just say a little bit of why you really have used Nasera Jassera to make your choices and teach people politically of how that implies?
Yes, they'll tell you it's a conspiracy theory.
Yes, that's it.
Because they don't want us to be free. But when you look at the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, also known as NASARA, or the global part of that, the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act, you see that this completely liberates humanity. So what's going to happen is we're going to experience a debt jubilee where all debt will be wiped away. Credit card debt, mortgages, which is a death pledge, automobile, bank loans, all that is going to go away. And I've been talking about that since 2017, but recently in 2023, Zero Hedge published an article that says we are going to experience a jubilee in biblical proportions. Are you ready? So
is that Zero Heads?
Zero Hedge.
Okay.
That's February 2023, I think is when that was published. We're going to experience a debt jubilee in biblical proportions. Are you ready? No, it was December. That came out. No, I think that came out in December. I take that. It came out in December of 2023 or 24, maybe 24. But look it up in Zero Hedge. And at the same time, that was when the Pope, and this all happened kind of secretly, but if you look it up, you'll find it. The Pope opened the doors and he called it the Jubilee doors.
I remember.
Remember? And it was a metaphor. It was a ritual to say, okay, we're about to set the people free because our time is up. And so that Zero Hedge article came out, and that's nothing new because biblically and historically, ancient civilizations would every 7 years forgive people of their debts. And then every 50th year have a huge celebration called a Great Jubilee. And the reason why they did this is because if you keep putting debt on people and you keep, making them pay taxes and they can't survive, at some point they're going to take to the streets. So this is what we're going to experience by Nasera being announced. And the deep state doesn't want you to know about this. It was supposed to happen on 9/11. Tomorrow's 9/11. Okay.
Oh, wow.
It's supposed to happen September 11, 2001. But what happened was the military stormed into the White House and forced Clinton to sign it into law. He didn't want to do it. And this announcement was supposed to come from the Pentagon. But instead, what they did is they took the gold out of the World Towers that were supposed to support paying off debts to the nations. They sent a CGI or a plane or something into the Pentagon from which the announcement was to come. And they blamed that all on our Muslim brothers and sisters so that they can cause panic and division and continue to push this off. You're going to have all debt wiped away, all bank loans wiped away. The IRS is going to be wiped away, which is why Donald Trump, they don't like us supporting Donald Trump because they want us to continually live in the victim mentality that you a slave, you always was a slave, 12 years a slave, 1,000 years a slave. Slavery is going to keep us back. Oh, massa made me a slave. Oh, mama, my mistress beat me. They want us to keep us stuck there. But it's all going to be done away with. And President Trump said when he came in the second administration, I'm going to do away with the Internal Revenue Services, the IRS, and create the External Revenue Services, the ERS. And what he meant by that is I want to stop taxing the people, get rid of the IRS, and start taxing other nations or putting tariffs on these nations for doing business with us. Because for too long, they've gotten away with importing their goods into America with no tax or little to no tax.
It's so true.
You know, that's why everything's made by China here. Indonesia, China, whatever, everywhere else except for America. And the American companies went to China to take advantage of no taxes. We weren't taxing China. So doing away with the IRS, doing away with government agencies that so-called Black people have complained about all my life. The FBI, the CIA, they're agents, we've said, the IRS, federal, this federal place, that federal, HOAs that tell you can't grow food in your own home.
Okay.
So the Supreme Court of the United States overturned the Chevron doctrine that gave the government unlimited powers. This is all Nasara happening, downsizing the government so that now we can become sovereign and take control of our own lives. That's why I want us to get out of the victim mentality. Most of us, if we even looked at our history and stopped listening to people who wrote the history books, start listening to grandma and actually look in the records yourself, a lot of us weren't even enslaved. Okay,
no, we weren't.
May have been.
It's true, we weren't. Many of us were not enslaved.
But they keep these Hollywood movies and these books perpetuating a story. And by the way, Alex Haley, who wrote the movie and the book Roots, to talk about Kizzy and Kunta Kinte being his family from Africa, and therefore we all had the same story. He was sued by a white man called Harold Corlander. He was sued for plagiarism because Alex Haley stole the characters, according to the records, from the book called The African that was written by a Caucasian man named Harold Corlander, and he won his case.
Did you all know that? Those of you who are watching, did you know that about Alex Haley? Boy, I tell you, so many things we just didn't know. Why didn't they tell us about that?
They just want us to continually be, slaves and need handouts. And look, I say, I don't want your handout. I work hard. My grandparents, they had their own businesses. They worked hard for I don't want anybody feeling sorry for me because my skin is brown. I'm proud to be who I am. I don't need you to feel sorry for me. Most of all nations came from women that look like me anyway. What do I look like at begging you for anything? You're my child. Get out of here.
I say it all the time.
Submit.
I say it all the time. Now, Dr. Kia, what is the deep state for our listeners who have no clue what you're talking about, really quickly? And then we'll ask one more question and let you wrap up.
The Khazarian Mafia, the cabal, the regime that has taken a group of bloodline families that has taken over our lawful republic. Our lawful government was run for the people, by the people. But then you had these bloodline families, which I think many of them are not human, or either they come from non-human entities that overtook the government. That's what I call the deep state. They run deep. They are in every segment of the society. A lot of them take part in, a lot of rituals and secret society stuff, that we may not never know about, but they're in politics, education, the media, entertainment, banking. They've infiltrated every segment of our society in order to control us.
It's the truth. It's the truth. Okay. So you answered that. And then you mentioned the Chevron doctrine.
Yes. That was a doctrine that gave the government unlimited powers to create any statutes, codes, or policies that they wanted to, and thereby force us to abide by them. Well, last summer, the Supreme Court of the United States, or SCOTUS as they call it, overturned the so-called Chevron doctrine, which means that now those government agencies have to be dismantled because they created statutes, laws. I don't want to even say laws, because laws are a part of the Constitution for the Republic. Legality, statutes, codes, and policies, using their policy enforcers or police officers to enforce their policies, is what the deep state or the bloodline families have done to us. So overturning the Chevron doctrine was important because the Supreme Court of the United States said that all those government agencies are actually unconstitutional, fraudulent, and there's another word I'm thinking of, treasonous. So they have to be dismantled. And that's why President Trump tasked Elon Musk with being over DOGE, or the Department of Government Efficiency, in order to dismantle or do away with a lot of those government entities. And any of the government entities that can be deemed as benevolent or good for we the people, they will just come under the umbrella of our republic. For example, any duties of the IRS that deals with money, like they might, all taxes will be done away with under NASARA, but there might be a tax on large ticketed items. That part of the IRS to deal with taxing or anything else, the other monetary policies that the Federal Reserve were dealing with, all those entities or duties were put underneath the umbrella of the United States Treasury Department, which the United States Treasury Department is attached to our Constitution for our republic. So all those, it was 441 government agencies that had been created that are not part of our republic. They will be downsized. Many of them will be completely done away with. A few of the duties of them, again, will go underneath the auspices or the umbrella of the republic, our lawful government.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So Dr. Kia has said a lot for you to reference. She talks about a lot of this in great detail on her YouTube channel, and she does it almost every day. Like at one point, Dr. Kia was broadcasting. She's a news anchor woman for real. She is a anchor woman of economics, all things economics, mind, body, and spirit, but particularly the every time there's a major story in the news, she is truly a political commentator. But why has it cost you your YouTube channel so many times? What are you saying? Tell the people what you are saying that's costing you your channel. That's the closeout of Politically Incorrect, and the courage it has taken you.
Thank you.
Keep going.
Thank you. The courage, the reason why I have the courage is because I know my mission. That's why I tell everybody, know your mission, write it down, know what the vision, what you see for yourself for the future and for your family. I have to do this. I'm liberating humanity. I'm doing this to leave a legacy for my children as well. But the reason why I'm constantly censored is because, number one, I tell people classified as Black that you're indigenous, that you have power, that you are sovereign, and that you don't have to have a slave mentality. They do not like that at all. At all. Empowering our people, the people that look like you and me, to know that you are God's in flesh, and to know that you are the copper colored people found here by the Europeans. That's the 1828 Webster's definition of American, the copper colored races found by Europeans in America, but now applied to the Europeans. Now, the Moors would tell you that's identity theft for everybody else to call themselves American, because that is what we are. And I always say, just because I was born in China, I bet not tell them Chinese people I'm Chinese. They would say, no, you're not. You American, or you Black American. I don't care if your great granddaddy lived here in China. But when I talk about, us being indigenous, I get flagged. When I talk about how we all need to unite as a human family, I get flagged because they want to keep everybody divided. Most of my audience is actually Caucasian women between the ages of 45 and 75. But yes, but they don't want me to talk about the unification of the human race as being one family to fight the powers that be. When I talk about gold and silver and how that's real money, before all these gold commercials came out, I've been talking about gold since 2014. I've been flagged on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that. They don't want you to know that gold and silver is money. They don't want you to think you can afford it. But guess what? Instead of saying I can't, ask yourself, how can I? Because when you ask yourself, how can I, you open up an avenue for opportunities. Your brain starts to scan, and your subconscious mind starts to scan opportunities and ways in which you can afford something. And that's why I don't mind being attacked, because people say you're too hard on people. You want people to be perfect. You always say, I can't. And I say, okay, try it. How can I? then you might realize that you don't have to buy an ounce of gold. You can buy a fourth an ounce, a quarter of an ounce, a half an ounce. You can buy sterling silver, which is 92% silver. You can get constitutional silver, which is 90% silver. And those are silver coins that were minted before 1964. You can get gold backs, which are gold Aurum notes or real 24 karat gold printed onto a note for as little as $6. When I first started talking about it, it was $1.34. The people still kept saying, I can't. You know, so they don't want us, the powers that be, to know that you can, you must, and you will, because you are God. And when you raise your consciousness, you will manifest everything that you desire. Think about the scripture. If I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. Now, okay, maybe Christ was talking about, if you lift me up on a cross, all men will repent and come unto me. But metaphysically, we talk about metaphysics over here. If I be lifted up, if I lift up my consciousness, knowing that I'm God, if I be lifted up in my frequency, I will draw all manifestations unto me. See what I mean? You are God. I and the Father are one. No man can come unto me except the Father draws him. No manifestation comes unto me except the Father draws him. Who is the Father? I and the Father are one. When I raise my consciousness, that is the Father. When I raise my frequency, that is the Father, because Source is the Father and I and the Father are one. So if I be lifted up and I lift up my consciousness and I stop being a perpetual victim and I lift up my ideologies and I raise my thoughts and my frequency, knowing that I am God, then reality and my thoughts and my desires will bend towards me, because reality bends towards frequency. I can manifest everything that I desire. This is what they don't want us to know. That's the real secret, that you are God in flesh. That Source decided one day, I want to have a human experience, so I'm going to lower myself in my frequency, wrap myself in fresh flesh to have an experience. But it's up to you to determine what that experience is going to look like. People in power have used sigils and symbols and religion, and they've used media and everything to lower your frequency so you don't remember you're God. But if I be lifted up and I know I'm God and I raise my frequency, all manifestations will be drawn unto me. So they keep telling you you're a slave. They keep telling you to fight against each other. Men hate women today. Oh, these women are always on my case. Oh, these men are no good, because it keeps you in a lower vibrational frequency. But we have to raise our consciousness. We must raise our frequency and remember that we're God and create the reality that we desire and deserve. That's why I continue to do this, because it's my plan and my desire to wake us up and help us to remember that we are God. No deep state, no YouTube, no Rumble, no TikTok, no Instagram, no nothing can stop this message, because it's going to continue to go out, and because I planted the seed. One person plants, another one waters, but the Most High gives an increase.
I love it when Spirit uses you like that. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. I love you. I love your courage. I thank you for working through all of the technical glitches. We have a little process that we do for those who hung on and stayed the course with us. I know some people are at work and had to get back to work. You were listening on your break. But I want, if there was something that you had a belly leap, something you heard where it made your belly leap, please drop it in the comments. If there was something you have to look into more, drop it in the comments. If it was something that didn't sit well with you, drop it in the comments here or in the portal so that we can unpack it. And I just, I feel like we should, I think I want to see what your calendar is like so we can have you back on the generational panel. Okay. We're going to be having a generational panel with some of our nieces, where they are talking about why didn't people tell them about certain things about their bodies, reproductive health, perimenopause, menopause. Yes. So I know you represent a generation and an experience that's very unique that you brought in today, but I want to give you the opportunity while sisters are putting in where their belly leaped. I'll capture it in a minute. Keep on dropping it in there, sis. Just because I feel like I need to retitle this, because yes, we came in talking about whole womanhood, wives, wealth, and being politically incorrect. Can you take that title and weave it into your expertise around economics? What is the message you want us to leave with? If what you said wasn't enough, just in closing, you know, our economics and our economic awareness, and in what we need right now in this season to consider.
I would like for our soul family to consider that we are one, that everything came from source, and that we are all sources all inside of us. So let's work together as one unit to heal each other and to help each other, to propel each other to the next place. Because the where we're going now is we're all going to be operating as sovereign individuals. You're all going to be wealthy through Nasara. And if they don't talk about this, but you're all going to be wealthy. So, in order to deal with all this great wealth you are going to have, we're going to have to be spiritually and mentally able to cope with this wealth so that we can do business with each other. And so we can create schools and we can create banks, and we can create spiritual centers and medical centers. So I would encourage us to know that we are one, we all come from source, and we all must figure out what we can do collectively to heal our families and to heal our communities. Because you often hear people talk about society, but a healthy whole society is built upon healthy whole communities, and healthy whole communities are built upon healthy whole families, and a healthy whole family is built upon a healthy whole you.
That was well said, Dr. Kia. Thank you so much for your time with Shift Talk. Thank you. If you all would like to learn more, go. Dr. Kia, is your YouTube channel up?
One of them is, and it's not monetized, and they're not going to let me monetize it, but I'm going to keep pushing out videos. That's Dr. Kia Pruitt, but there are many fake Dr. Kia Pruitts now. So my nickname is at Dr. Kia Pruitt, the matriarch, on YouTube, or you can go to rumble.com. Now, Rumble is not censored as much as the others, and I have lots of videos on there. Rumble, go to rumble.com, type in Dr. Dr. period space KIA. That's my first name, space PRUITT. So you can find me there on Rumble. You can find me on Twitter as Dr. Kia Pruitt, Instagram as well. But yeah, that newest YouTube channel, it's actually an old channel that somehow slipped through the cracks. I can still push videos out. They didn't completely take it away. They just demonetized and took off some of the videos.
Wow. And yet you keep on going. You keep on moving. You keep on putting out there. I hope you save all of the content and the hours when you. Oh, good.
and sister, I just want to thank you for allowing me to be here. I honor you. I reverence you. I follow you, and I listen to your advice, because every now and then you drop me something in my inbox and Instagram. And when I don't know what to do, and I might have advice coming from different places, I'll consider what you said. But that's how much respect that I have for you as a woman of God. And if I've offended any of our sisters, please forgive me. Sometimes I get on a rampage, I get on a roll, and I get excited and passionate. And it's not my intent to hurt anybody's feelings or to make anybody think that I'm, making their situation light. I desire for us to move beyond what we've been through to go to where we desire to be, so that we can become whole women. Because again, society, at least that's an old statement, can rise no higher than its woman.
Yes. And honestly, I sometimes I'm you when I go to platforms where there's even less consciousness than this community. Some of the things I say might make people, uncomfortable, because when we start calling people forward to be God, to be reality creators, that means you got to give up something, give up being the victim, give up being the old version of yourself. It means that you have to be born again. When I think about being born again, I don't think about going to anybody's church or baptismal waters. I think about the renewing of our mind. And it didn't say that it's a one-time thing. We've all been lied to. We've all been lied to about everything. Everything we thought was wrong most of the time is the very thing that we need, including the relationships. There's so many women who are single and want relationships, but deep down inside, they hate men. Or your mother hated men, or was taught to hate men. We got to deal with that. We have to have the hard and difficult conversations. And people who are just want to monetize and sell you and feed you milk toast stuff that is not long term. They are many of them, but you haven't heard of Dr. Kia. Many people haven't heard of me, because we are bringing a message that can be disruptive and uncomfortable, but it doesn't mean it's not true. So thank you so much for your courage, for your elegance.
Thank you, sister. Thank you.
Thank you for your transparency.
Thank you.
Thank you I'm always so proud of you and your decorum when you are on with Rod Hayes, because to me, I see him on with other women who are conscious, no shade, sisters, who are conscious, but still hard as hell. And you always tend to bring the energy of the goddess and as a demonstration of how not to be overly flirtatious with a man that you've come on to teach, or how not to have conflict and arguing with people in the comments. You bring an elegance that I want to acknowledge publicly. And of course, I know that you've sat with many other types of people, which is what we're supposed to be able to do, is to sit with people from all walks of life. And have dialogue and see how we can get this thing together. I pray that everyone was served well today in this shift talk. Please share it with your friends. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'll see you all on the other side in the portal, and let's keep going, in the words of the imaginary Harriet Tubman. No,
yes, ma'am.
So we'll have to have Dr. Kia Pruitt in our community as well, offline, so that we can continue to unpack this. All right, y'all, have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sister. I love you so much.
Thank you.